To me, I don't know what it is, but I've just got this feeling that Conte is just like mentally checked out for some reason. I just feel like he thinks he's not going to get the backing from Levy. He knows he's going to go at the end of the season. So what's in it for him anymore? And if that's the case, if that really is the case, I'm not saying it is, it's just the feeling I'm getting. If that is the case, then we may as well just cut our losses now and just move on and get another manager in.
I don't know if he's mentally checked out, but clearly the team are suffering right now. There's no way, there's no two ways about it. When I see Conte on the touchline, he doesn't look like a guy who's mentally checked out to me. I think he's still fighting, but at the moment he's struggling with what we have, and I think it's a mix of both. I think the tactics are predictable, yes, but it's a bit like for example, Iron Robin, right? Iron Robin, you know what he's going to do, right? He's going to cut inside and he's going to shoot. It's about whether you can stop it. And it's like Spurs, you know what they're gonna do, but it's whether you can stop it or not. And right now, people can stop it because the players aren't good enough at our disposal to play out his instructions to how we want it. Like, for example, at Inter Milan, he had like a back three of Bastoni, De Vrij, Skriniar. Strong, good players on the ball, all able to press high, be comfortable. He had wing-backs in Perisic and Hakimi, able to attack those wing-backs, able to dominate the sidelines and create chances going forward. He had midfielders like Barella and Eriksen and Brozovic, all technical, able to keep the ball, able to recycle the ball and pass and move. And then obviously the front two, Lukaku and Lautaro Martinez, strong, able to counter, but also able to, when teams are sitting deep, be strong enough to win things in the box and headers. At Tottenham, it's just very different. We don't have three strong centre-backs all comfortable on the ball. We don't have wing-backs able to dominate and able to dominate the wide areas and attack on a consistent basis. And we don't have good technical midfielders able to recycle and keep possession consistently and push forward. So it's like at Inter Milan, I'm sure it was similar. I'm sure Team Zenity knew what Conte's team were going to do, but it's whether they were going to be good enough to stop it, and they weren't. But here in England, unfortunately, teams know what we're going to do, and they're good enough to stop it, and that's the thing.
And that's what we've been saying, right? Time and time again, each transfer window that goes past. This is exactly what we said in the summer when we gave it a 6 out of 10. It's like, how are we going to do Conte football if we don't have the players to do it? We just don't have the players to do it. So what we need to do is figure out another way to play. And Conte, being the world-class manager he is, needs to figure that out. We can't just keep going in the same tactics, same formation, same everything. Otherwise, we're going to be getting the same results every week.
Correct, but there's two ways of looking at it. Does he change up? Does he, look, when you have great managers, for example, Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, even Pochettino, they're just as stubborn as Conte, these guys. And even Arteta, you can say. They're all just as stubborn as Conte, in a sense that they try and fit their philosophy. When they don't have players who fit their philosophy, they don't say to the squad, all right, I'm going to adjust and adjust my philosophy to you. He's going to force the players to adjust his philosophy, and if results suffer, then results suffer. In Guardiola's first season, Man City finished 4th. They didn't have the wing backs to how he wanted to play. They didn't have the midfielders to how he wanted to play. But he kept to his philosophy, and they did take a few batterings. They lost like 4-0 to Everton. They had many results that didn't go their way. But he didn't say, I'm switching up my philosophy for you. He said, I'm going to keep playing my way. And then when the transfer window comes, I'm going to buy Walker, I'm going to buy Benjamin Mendy, I'm going to buy the defenders, I'm going to buy the players that fit that philosophy. Jurgen Klopp, when he first walked into Liverpool, they finished 8th the first season, and even the second season they took some batterings as well. It wasn't plain sailing for him. He didn't have the players to fit his philosophy at the start, but he didn't say to the squad, I'm going to change my philosophy for you. He said, I'm going to force you to play to my philosophy, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to buy players that do that can work. Mikel Arteta finished 8th 2 seasons in a row, and then finished 5th in his third season. He didn't say to those Arsenal players, I'm going to change my philosophy for you. He said, I'm going to fit my philosophy. You're going to try and fit my philosophy. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to buy players that it does work with. And now look at them. After 3 years, they're flying. And now, Pete, I understand the argument. You know, Conte is a world-class manager, and he should be getting more out of these players, and he should be improving these players. And that's right. And I think he did do that for a time. But at the end of the day, we don't have the players to fit his philosophy. And when you're a world-class manager like Conte, I don't think he should have to change his philosophy to suit the players. I think the players should adjust to his philosophy. And if they can't do it, then we get the players who can. And that's
the difference, right, with Tottenham and all the other clubs. That's the difference. They'll clearly, if they bring in a manager, they bring in a manager for his vision, and they let the vision guide the club. We don't do that. We bring in a manager with a clear vision and we really need a right wing back, and we bring in Jed Spence, a player that the manager won't even play and doesn't even want. That's the difference between us and every other club. If you're not going to follow a manager's vision, then don't bring him in or get him out of the club. There's no point of him being here if we're not going to follow his vision at all.
Yeah, but what I find funny is when people don't blame the board. Either way, you have to blame the board. If Conte if they're not willing to back Conte because if they're not willing to back Conte because their philosophies are not aligned, right? And they're thinking that we want to spend young players, we want to build for the future, and we're not sure if Conte is the manager we want to put all our resources behind, then it's their fault for appointing him in the first place when you know you're going to get with Conte. And if they are willing to back him because they do believe in him, then they have to do it. But because if they do believe that Conte is the guy that they're willing to put their eggs in the basket, then you have to give him the tools to play within his system. Right now, we just don't have those tools. I don't understand how it just doesn't come back to the board in either way. Like, I think the board have to take responsibility for the decisions they've made. At the end of the day, they made a big call a few years ago, back in 2018 or 2019 when they sacked Pochettino. Me and you were on this channel saying, we understand it's not been great from Pochettino for the past year, league results. There are definitely clearly reasons why that's been, lack of investment, squad going stale. There's a lot of changing needed. And then he didn't even get a chance to implement some of the new signings that they gave him. They sacked him after 12 league games. And then since then, I don't think the board have had a vision. They brought in Mourinho, and I don't think they fully understood what it was going to take to make a Mourinho side successful, and they gave him very average backing. They spent 3 months looking for a manager after saying that they want to go back to the Spurs DNA and landed on Nuno Espirito Santo. They sacked him after 2 months, and then in a panic went for Antonio Conte and convinced him to join the club. But when you convince a manager like Antonio Conte to join the club, you have to make sure that the squad that we have is due to his specification. That means having very strong centre backs and very strong wing backs and technical centre midfielders. Right now, we have none of those things, to be quite frank, except for maybe we have Bentancur and Højbjerg who are decent, but wing backs and centre backs, they're nowhere near up to the standard we need to make Antonio Conte's side successful. And this is all down to the board's strategizing and their vision and their planning. It's extremely, extremely poor right now. If you look at the other top clubs, it's a very different situation. But at Tottenham right now, there is no vision or plan. It's almost like we're just playing it by ear right now, and that's not going to get you anywhere.
I read, I can't remember who this is from. I think it might have been from Charlie Eccleshare on the tweets last night, and he was saying that Spurs were onto a good thing with the project football with Pochettino. We were building something. We had a clear vision, a clear plan in place. I'm paraphrasing, by the way. It's not exactly what he said. And then they made the decision to go in the Chelsea route and hire Mourinho, hire Conte, managers that have come in and done quick fixes and other jobs without giving him the backing. I mean, what sort of stupid idea is that? How can you bring in managers like Conte and Mourinho and just expect them just to go and do their thing without bringing investment? It just doesn't make sense. This club has no brains, no morals, no thinking, no planning behind anything. It's an absolute joke, the state of this football club right now. And I kind of get the feeling that the only way forward for us is to go back to basics and get a new manager like a Pochettino, like a project manager, and start building from the bottom again and just see where we go and get a load of young talent in and start building like that again, because I just can't see it working under Conte.
My friend sent me this yesterday, and tell me, right, except for Pochettino, how this is not exactly how it is with every single manager. He says fans get angry at poor results, not winning anything, and not winning anything, so the manager gets sacked. We hire a new manager to appease the fans. We go on a good run for a few months. Fans get hopeful again and look towards signings and backing the manager to take us to the next level. ENIC don't back the manager. Results drop due to having a poor squad. Fans get angry again due to poor results and not winning anything, and the manager gets sacked. Now, apart from Pochettino, which it did eventually happen with him as well, but apart from Poch, every single manager under
Apart
Nuno,
from Poch and Redknapp, yeah.
Poch and Redknapp, and that's
Yol.
been 20 years. There's probably been 3 managers
Poch, Redknapp and Yol.
in that 20-year cycle. Yeah. How many managers? Out of 14, 15 managers. That's pretty much been the cycle of every single one of them.
Every single one.
Every single
one. Some of them didn't even get the good form at the beginning.
Yeah, like
to
Nuno,
be fair.
exactly.
Like Nuno, Juan de Ramos, Santini, some of these managers didn't even get the good run at the beginning. But no, I mean, as a general rule, that's absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. And this club has never really had a vision. Really never had a vision, because when you really think about it, Pochettino was a bit of luck, right? Because we were going for Louis van Gaal first then, and Louis van Gaal's a very different manager to Mauricio Pochettino. We kind of fell on Pochettino as our second or third choice. So anything good this club has done under ENIC has pretty much been luck.
Yeah, look, it is looking more and more like luck right now, due to the fact that we clearly don't know what we're doing right now. We don't know what we want to be. We knew we wanted to be under Pochettino, but right now it's pretty much.
We didn't know what we wanted to be under Pochettino. We fell into what we wanted to be under Pochettino.
Yeah, but I don't think you can say,
because there wasn't a clear plan from the beginning. Like before Pochettino, I don't think the board was sitting there being, let's get a project manager, buy loads of young players, and gel them all together. Poch is the perfect man for that, because they were going for Louis van Gaal.
Yeah, but I don't think you can say that the consistent improvement in league finishes for the, say, 15 years since ENIC, I think pretty much up until 2018, we had a consistent upturn in league finishes under ENIC and the board, right? We went from consistent relegation or mid-table challenges. I'm saying before ENIC, we were in mid-table relegation.
Before ENIC?
Yeah. We were consistent relegation and mid-table team, and there was a consistent uptick in league finishes when ENIC took over. We got European football. We've now been a consistent European team for over a decade, 15 years. We're getting a lot of Champions League football as well. But I think it all culminated at that Champions League final. And then once we lost that Champions League final, ever since then, I think they've completely been out of their depth. They don't know how to move forward from that stage. Football as well. The landscape of football has changed massively as well since Levy and ENIC have taken over. And right now, from footballing point of view, these guys are not football people. They only know how to grow the business side. They don't know how to grow the footballing side of this team and take Tottenham to the next level. They think just bring in a manager like Conte and Mourinho and expecting them to make turn water into wine. Turn water into wine. They can't do it. They need serious investment. They need Chelsea level of investment if they're going to come into this club and be successful. And you're coming in, you hire Mourinho and you give him like Matt Doherty at right back, you give him Moussa Sissoko as a central midfielder, you give him Carlos Vinicius, you give him all these like budget options, right? What do you expect him to do? And then he's obviously finishing 6th in the league, and you sack him because it's not good enough. You have Antonio Conte, and you give him the set of defenders that we have, and now he's at 5th in the league, and he's under pressure because people think we should be doing better. Well,
the fact of the matter is, right, that what do they want? They don't
They
I
don't,
don't,
yeah,
I
we
don't
don't
think
know
they
what we
care.
want.
I don't think they care about delivering a Premier League title, delivering silverware through the door. I think all they care about is to make that top four. And if they make that top four, they're completely fine and happy with that. That brings in the money that we're not going to spend, or we do spend sometimes, and we spend it in the wrong areas. But all they care about is getting into that top four, and what they're doing in getting these managers in and for these quick fixes can get us top four. We saw it can get us top four last season. So from their opinion and their perspective, maybe things are going fine then, because all they want to do is challenge for top four. They don't want to push us further than that. So maybe we just need to accept that's what we are, and that's who we are as a football club. Because under this hierarchy and this ownership with Levy and Enoch, we're never going to go further than just being top four challengers. Never. Unless they change their ways dramatically.
Correct. And I think we've seen evidence for that time and time again now. And I don't know where else we go from there. I think it's clear for all to see. Either they don't know how to make it to the next level, or they got no interest of making that step to the next level. All they're interested in is getting top four for as little investment. Well, I think they have invested, but all they're interested in is just getting that top four. They're not interested in spending that extra bit of money and try and actually go for a title and actually have a serious crack at it.
And you saw it last season, right? What were we saying at the end of last season? We were saying, if we get top four over Arsenal, that is a major statement, and we'll be the ones able to go and kick on, get the signings we need, and really propel ourselves up there and go and face the Man Cities and the Liverpools of this world. What have happened? They've brought in 2 Premier League winners in Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko. Yes, we brought in signings and spent a fair whack in the summer, but it's a scattergun approach once again. We brought in a right back, which we desperately needed. It was one of the key areas to bring in the summer. We bring in Jed Spence, a player that the manager doesn't want to use. We bring in a stopgap at centre back with Clement Longley. Fine, we've been unlucky with some of the players they've brought in, like Basuma and Richarlison, who haven't really kicked on as of yet. But everyone gave it a 6 out of 10, right? And then you get to January where we need major investment, and they're the ones making a 95 million bid for Mudryk. And what are we doing? We can't even spend the release clause on Porro for 35 million. It's an absolute joke. Where's all the money gone?
Agreed.
Where's it gone? We've got this stadium that shits out money with all these events that they're going. Anthony Joshua, Lady Gaga, Guns N' Roses. You've got the match day revenue as well, which is near at the top of the Premier League, if not the top. You've got the Champions League money. You've got the 150 million Enoch that's spent in. Where's all this money gone, and why are they not bringing out the financial results until February? Tell me that.
We have money. There's no doubt about it. Spurs have money to spend. We're in a very good financial position. We don't need, look, as much as I would love the Qatari money and whatever, we don't need that money to spend. We don't need that money to spend 35 million on Porro. That's not required. We have the money to spend. We're just refusing to spend it. And if we're not gonna buy back this manager with proper defenders that we desperately need. Like, look at Chelsea. They had Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, Azpilicueta. They got like good centre backs, but they just went and spent 35 million on Badchile, a centre back that they know can improve their defence. You look at every single all the defenders right now in the top 6. They've got big, strong defenders who are good at playing out the back. Right now, we've still got Eric Dyer. We've got a loan deal for Clement Longley. We've got Davinson Sanchez. We've got just a series of average defenders who are not good enough to take us to the next level.
And been here for way too long as well.
Yeah, and Conte did really well to get top 4 with that set of defenders and get a really good tune out of them, playing 1 game a week for 6 months, and it was brilliant.
And a really good defensive record at that
and
as well.
And it was brilliant, yeah. But once the games piled on, once they started to revert to type with their performances, once we started to rely on them playing in, week out, in a very competitive Premier League, they've shown to be exactly what they are, which is not good enough to take us to the next level. So what do you expect? Do you think if any other manager isn't going to need like greats and more upgrades in centre back? Do you think any manager, who doesn't matter who we bring in, do you think any manager is going to be able to turn Dyer and Sanchez and Davis and Doherty and Emerson into players to take us to the next level? Or do you think it's just Conte who can't get the most out of them? I think Conte is doing what he can with these defenders, and people talk about we should be doing more, with the squad and stuff. And maybe, look, I think there's always improvements to it, and I'm sure Conte would agree that the set of players that we have could be doing more, 100%, and I agree with that. But at the end of the day, we're third for goals scored, and we're mid-table for goals conceded, and there's a reason for that. I think our attack isn't the problem. I think when Kulusevski, Kane and Son are fit, I think we look, I know Son's off form, but I think we look dangerous and we create chances and we score goals, and I think we look okay, but it's the set of defenders that we have that are continually letting us down, and I don't think it's because they're not in a good defensive structure overall. I think it's because their quality just simply isn't good enough, and that's the end. That's it at the end of the day. People talk about, oh, Newcastle have a worse 11, so why are they playing better football? There's a number of reasons why. First of all, pretty much all the defenders I think get into our team, and second of all, they've got no European football, so they can concentrate on the amount of games they have and play one game a week and stuff like that. And you got to say Eddie Howe's doing a great job, but you know, if you give Conte 3 strong defenders who can all play out the back, you give him 2 very attacking, fast wing backs, you're going to see a much different team. But right now, I don't know whether we're overcompensating for our defenders or what's happening, but they are not good enough to take us to the next level. And you look, we could go. I know at the moment it seems unlikely that we're going to get top 4, and you know, we probably won't. But there's, you know, we could go to the end of the season right now with the set of defenders that we have, and we could battle for that top 4 spot. We might get it, and we probably won't get it. But that's all they're good enough to do, is battle for top 4. They're never going to take us to the next level. And anyone thinking that Conte should have progressed us to the next level in the summer, given that defenders we have, I think are deluding themselves.
Yeah, and it winds me up because I was getting in an argument with some guy at the stadium yesterday. You know, tempers were running high, and I was talking about Levy, he was talking about Conte, and we ended up you know, hugging it out at the end. But you know, he was saying, and a lot of people are saying this at the moment, like, oh, this football Conte spewing up is absolute garbage. He should be doing a lot better, and this is Conte's fault at the moment, the way things are going. And look, Conte doesn't alleviate himself from any blame right now. Conte definitely has to take part of the blame of the way we're playing at the moment. But the fact of the matter is that how many managers are we going to constantly blame? It goes from Mourinho, Conte, Pochettino, Harry Redknapp. You know, the list of the managers is endless. How many managers under ENIC? What, 50?
15, something like that.
Something like that. We're going to blame every single manager that walks through this door. When is the man at the top going to take ultimate culpability for the situation? When is that going to happen? I'm sick and tired of blaming a manager every few years, every year. It happens every time, this exact situation. We're going to force Conte out. He's going to leave. We're going to bring in another manager. He's not going to get backed. And then in a year's time, year and a half time, we're going to be like, oh, this manager needs to be doing better with this squad. Come on, man, get him out. And it's just like
every time
rinse and repeat.
And that's also, and that's fair. And also when it comes to people who complain about the football and stuff, it's like, I remember the last year in the league of under Pochettino and how bad football was for the final year until he got sacked.
We didn't win an away game for a year.
We didn't win an away game for a year. The football was terrible. We were getting outrun by a lot of teams, and we were getting dominated. And you know, the football was dire. It was horrific. But you're going to tell me that's because Pochettino doesn't know how to play good football? Is that why the football was bad?
He just suddenly turned into a bad manager overnight.
He suddenly can't coach good football now. He doesn't know how to play good football. The football under him was terrible. Is it because he can't coach good football? No. It's because all the different reasons of the squad and lack of investment, all these kind of things. So when it comes to Conte, we saw last season that when the team functions well, the football can be really good and exciting and fast and intense, and the pressing can be good, and we can play good football. Right now, the football's bad. Don't get me wrong, but does that mean Conte doesn't know how to coach good football? And I like people say we can't go on like this. You know, the football is just so bad. I need to go back to enjoying Tottenham. You think just because we change manager, you're going to start enjoying Tottenham again? It's going to be the same thing until we get the player upgrades in this squad. Right now, it's going to be exactly the same thing. If you think we bring in Pochettino tomorrow, you think the football's going to just automatically turn into this exciting, great football. football without investment, just with the same players.
Yeah, look,
No
it
chance.
might for a couple of months, but it's always going to revert back to type, isn't it? Always going to
Eventually,
revert back to type. And this is the fact of the matter, Ron. You're absolutely spot on, you know. We know nobody enjoyed the football in the last year under Pochettino. Nobody enjoyed the football under Jose after he went on that good run. And nobody is enjoying it now under Conte. I wonder why. It's because we don't have the players to play any of those systems. Not even just one of those systems, any of those systems. These players are not good enough. They're stealing a living being at this football club for way too long. And I'm sick and tired of watching them week in, week out, to be honest. And I'm sick and tired of this hierarchy, just rinsing and repeating the same old mistakes over and over again. But, how much more can we say? I mean, everyone's got to take part of the blame right now. But ultimately, the pure and ultimate blame lies with the hierarchy at the top of this football club, and it filters down to the bottom. We're rotten to the core at the minute, and we have been for a while. And I can't see it changing. I really can't. Can you?
I don't know how it does, unless with the Conte and the club are completely aligned in what they both want. I don't know how it changes. The problem right now is the form that we're on is making the club second guess Conte, and I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming the form that we're on is making the club second guess what we're doing under Conte and whether they should back him. And the fact that Conte won't commit as well, all this uncertainty is causing big problems within the club. So I don't know, because if we do sack Conte, there's going to be a massive furore from the fans, in my opinion, still, and there's going to be a big backlash. But if we keep with Conte and the projects and the vision are not aligned, then it's going to get more and more toxic. So I'm not sure, unless the Conte and the club sit down and say, look, we're going to give you what you need to make this team function as best as possible, then I don't see it ending anywhere other than Conte leaving. And then I don't know where we go from there. But obviously back to Pochettino and then back to square one, and then it's going to take more years. But I don't know. Right now, it's hard to see how this ends well.
Ultimately, it doesn't really matter who comes in after Conte, because it's just going to be the same situation over and over again. So what does it matter who actually comes in? Enoch and Conte, Enoch and Levy may as well just get a yes man who's going to follow what they want and basically, and then be the fall guy for them when it all goes wrong. Because it really doesn't matter who comes in, because it's a poison chalice at the moment. It really is. And until the hierarchy change their ways and change their decision making and actually set this club up for success on the pitch instead of just off the pitch, then it's just going to be rinse and repeat, like I keep saying.